Hello and welcome to another Black Volta Nightlife podcast. We are continuing the discussion on the Accra festival scene. Thank you guys for rocking with us. Our last episode was with the legendary Reggie Rockstone, and this is part two of Accra festivals on the podcast. It's on the hot seat, another segment of the Black Water Nightlife podcast. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for all the listens. Thank you for everything and the support that you guys have been giving us. Today we have a stalwart when it comes to the entertainment and pop culture scene. Recently he's taken a step back from that a bit, but he's still very evident within the culture, and his name, when mentioned, resounds within the entertainment and pop culture, or you could say a bit of nightlife space. But he's taken a step back and he's now into full politics. We have none other than Baba Sadiq on the podcast. Let me give you guys some context. Personally, this individual is one of our silent mentors within the entertainment and pop culture scene. I don't think I've mentioned it to him before, but from a distance, he's someone that we really look up to in terms of where our brand is going, and we are so humbled enough to have him on the podcast today to discuss the Accra festival scene in Ghana. I think there's no one better suited to actually talk about this than him. But before we dive into the discussion, we want to thank our sponsors, Johnny Walker, who've been with us on this particular journey from the beginning. Their slogan is "Keep Walking," and today we have one of the best mixologists in the country, Tapa, who is serving us with cocktails today. So shout out to Johnny Walker, Black Label, for sponsoring this particular podcast. Yeah. So welcome, Sadiq.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I know your bio is super heavy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you go ahead and then let our listeners know who you actually are. And what we tend to do on the podcast is we don't want things on the internet, right? We don't want things that we can read on the internet. Give us a part of your bio or who you are that is not on the internet.
All right, so I'm Baba Sadiq. I'm a media and entertainment entrepreneur, as well as a politician. In terms of my activity in the media and entertainment space, I mean, everybody knows me for being the founder for 3 Media Networks, which owns 3 Music TV, 3 Music Awards, as well as the founder for the Wilderland Festival.
Okay.
And then recently I founded a new business as well within the space, Full Circle Management Limited.
Full Circle?
Yeah, Full Circle.
Okay.
I mean, which is a 360 agency, music agency essentially.
Okay.
You know, and then now I'm actually vying for a seat in Parliament.
Lovely.
I'm the NDC's parliamentary candidate for Okaki Central.
Lovely.
I mean, Tessano, Beka, Fadama, where I grew up. Then I pass. Yeah, those areas. Nyamiche, and then those areas, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Before we delve into the discussion, entertainment politics. Where did you actually go? Like, you know what? I want to take a step back from this actively, and then go into politics. Was it from a point of, okay, I want to see a change, or is it from a passion-driven standpoint? Like, just walk us through that journey for you.
Well, politics and entertainment has always been, bedfellows. Excuse me. I mean, entertainment generally, as part of the mix in marketing, has always proven to be an effective medium for political communications. You know, so in that sense, there's always been a connection. For me, I think that my dive into politics was work in progress. I mean, I come from a constituency. I come from a place in Accra where it's called Fadama. Fadama is within the Okaki Central constituency, and Abeka is where I started my schooling. At a point in time, almost about 10 years ago, young people in the constituency had come to me to leverage my access and insight in the industry to help them put together a couple of activities that they felt could enhance or give them the opportunity to show their talent. Most importantly. So that's how it began. From the first one to second one, I kind of became more or less like a young opinion leader of sorts for these young individuals. Then in 2020, then I joined the party. I've always been a member of the NDC, particularly in the constituency. In 2020, I got the opportunity to put together a team of young individuals to write the tourism, art and culture part of the manifesto of the NDC.
Wow.
And so I worked with His Excellency John Ramadi Mahama closely. I became his and the party spokesperson on tourism, art and culture in the 2020 elections. So after the elections and given the work we did, then the call started coming.
Yeah.
So then I had to pay heed at a point. I put myself into it. We went through the process, went through the primaries, won the primaries, aside having contested 3 other guys. And then now we're working towards the 2024 elections.
Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that. And we wish you all the best from the Black Voter team on what you're doing. So let's jump in straight into the conversation, right? So, so with this particular discussion, it looks like you're probably going to wear both hats at some time. But with the Accra Party Festival, the Accra Festival scene, right? Some may take it that it's been long-standing. There's been a history of partying, festival culture within the Ghana scene, right? When you break it down into things like our traditional festivals, like Ojura, Homowo, which is built on drumming and dancing, and then we could move into religion, where our 2 major players, which are the Muslim and then Christianity, where they have events and festivals like Easter, Eid al-Adha, Eid al-Fitr, and stuff like that. Then you can also segue into things like festivals and parties and events that focus on art, music, culture. Things like Jamestown, Chaliwati Festival, and things like that. A broader picture is where they are bringing the diasporas into the discussion with Afrochella, AfroNation, Dirty Rave, and stuff like that. And then your things around nightlife and clubs, beaches, and stuff like that. So I think it's been a big journey.
It's been an evolution
within evolution of sorts. And then, thankfully, in 2019, I believe that's where the boom came with the Year of Return, where the Year of Return really commemorated 400 years of Africans landing in North America, and the fact that the Ghana government went on an initiative to bring the diaspora back into the country. And I think that movement has been happening for the past 6-7 years now. I want to ask you, what is your general thoughts on, one, our festival, nightlife, or party culture, and how you think 2019 really shaped the whole scenery when it came to the festival?
I think it's been evolving. I like the fact that you, in your intros, you started it from the point of the various tribal festivals, which obviously form the base.
Yeah.
Nightlife has also been evolving in the country for some time. Our December in Ghana, which a lot of people have come to associate with Year of Return, for instance, has also been evolving for a long time.
Yeah.
Thanks to the likes of Dennis, Nakwaba, and some of the initial.
Hey, shout out to Dennis from the Aquaba group. One of these days, we are getting him on the podcast. He's someone that you guys should listen to, so we'll bring him on the
how
podcast.
They started to, promote parties in Ghana in December, particularly for young Ghanaians in the UK that were looking to come to Ghana. So, if you speak to all the guys that had grown up in the 90s, they'll tell you from 98 coming, or from 97 coming down to about the early 2000s, there's always been a lot of parties, 25th, 26th parties, 27 parties. There are a lot of people that still remember the next door beach parties on 29th and 1st, for instance. So it's been evolving along the line. other things joined in. The likes of Kojo Entry started to have their days, the 24 days, which they got known for. Then by 2006, aside the parties, the likes of Ghana Rocks, 2006, 2007, Ghana Rocks came up upstream with Toforian Ponsa. And then from there, other events started to come up. Rapaholic came up. Then we started to see a number of foreign talents coming. I remember there was a particular December, Rick Ross had come in. There were a number of events that was happening in December aside the party. So it's been growing, it's been evolving. In 2019, I think what happened was the fact that there was, for a lot of people, there wasn't that much awareness. Everybody knew, December, we're all going through, but this was one of the years, aside everything, that there was a certain awareness regarding, this is December in Ghana, but it's been evolving. The word December in Ghana, if I remember very well, started off, I think, with Live FM, when they started to put together events and parties that would happen in December, I think from around when Live had evolved, and you need to give it to even the predecessor of Live FM, which is Vibe FM. Mm-hmm. They were also very active. Everybody remembers the Carnival 1999 to 2000, the Carnival of Osuka. That was a big one. Reggie Rockstone and Bravo had come upstream at the time. And so it's been evolving. It's been work in progress for more than 20 years.
Yeah.
When it comes to the idea of bringing diaspora, the black diaspora into the country. Panafest was a lead up to it. 97, 98 Panafest was a big one. In fact, Reggie Rockstone, when you listen to the Hip Life story, Reggie and Panji, when they are going back and forth, there's always a mentioning of Panafest 94, 95.
It's good that you're mentioning some of these things, because I feel like a lot of people just feel like this wave only started in 2019, right?
It didn't.
But it's the
I think it was a communication. I say it a lot, and sometimes when I say it even to the government people, you're trying to take our share. I says no. I know the idea behind Year of Return was to promote the slave heritage of Ghana. Most importantly, and to also be able to use that as a way of attracting
people to come,
the diaspora, to come in, and so, but that concept, in a way, had always been
always been
Panafest was a huge one. Emancipation Day used to be a big thing. Stevie Wonder was coming here. Isaac Hayes, his wife. They used to be the face or the poster names for Panafest. And Panafest was a huge thing in Ghana. Sometime it died off, I think in the 2000s. Then there was a project that came in again, the Joseph Project, which was championed by Jacob Echevilamte, who was then, I think, the Minister for Tourism, and Diaspora and Relations, I remember at the time. And so, they picked it up. Then at the point, the whole concept and idea of attracting the diaspora kind of fizzled out. Then there was, in 2017, 2018, what's her name? The then minister. What's her name? Ketril Afriku. She began to hang out and flirt with the idea when the likes of Boris Kujo, his wife, and a group decided to make coming to Ghana in December a thing for them. So I remember there was a whole conversation of a full circle festival that was meant to happen in 2018, and then there was a whole talk of it coming now in 2019. But we got a whole new increased awareness for or a campaign to attract the black diaspora on the back of our slave heritage.
Okay.
Then sometime within the same year, in December, what has been evolving for more than 20 years, there was a certain amplification of it one way or the other, and everybody people couldn't differentiate it to say, this has been playing out
for a very long time.
But once the government our communication became stronger, and there was that stronger association, people couldn't differentiate it. But our December in Ghana element to activation has been growing for
quite some time now.
And the idea to attracting the black diaspora has also been evolving, but it's not been consistent. Then Year of Return came in again, and so this has been evolving for some time.
Great. So with the Year of Return initiative, came up with things like bringing in the diaspora, and then it sprung up the signing of some major players in the industry, AfroNation, Afrochella, with Dirty Rave, and then things like that. How do you think?
Dirty Wave had already been activated
Even before
19.
yeah.
Afrochella as well before 2019, Rapaholic and Co. All of them before 2019
Yeah.
as part of our December in Ghana
Okay.
activities.
How do you think?
Then-
How do you think those how big of an impact did those particular events have on shaping the narrative that we have now?
I mean, it was a very positive, effect
Yeah.
on, shaping the narrative. Like I said, they've been growing,
Mm-hmm.
bit by bit. AfroNation came in 2019. I think they were meant to come in 2018. Then they came in 2019, and that was major. That was major. I remember I worked on the first year, 2019, myself, already producing the Ghana edition.
Oh, you were on the
Yeah.
team for AfroNation.
Yes, AfroNation, yeah.
Okay.
Year one. I was the associate producer. Rudy was the co-executive producer for Ghana.
Great.
It was major. And that was
Yeah, it was major. That was the first one, right?
Yeah, that was the first year.
Oh,
in 2019.
great. At least now we are seeing the faces of the people who do the
Yeah.
amazing stuff
So
that you
in
guys
terms
do.
of scale, it was a crazy scale, crazy
Yeah.
budget.
Was that your
the
first
space-
one? Was that like your first entry point into like?
Festivals.
Yes, into.
I think so, but I've been doing events
Yeah.
for some time. But that was in terms of scale.
Scale. That
budget,
was yeah.
That was major. That was major. You need to. Prior to that, there's been attempts to have to do what AfroNation was able to achieve. Alvin and Co had activated AfroNation
Yeah.
Festival, which was also meant to be like a 3-day festival at the Independence Square. And I know a lot of people do not like to talk about that, but that was also used to happen. I think it happened for 2 years back to back. Then we had A Plus. A Plus did, was it Accra? He had a festival. It was also a 2-3-day festival at the trade fair.
Okay.
Something related to food and music
Okay.
at the trade fair. It was an open door one, But AfroNation one was major.
It was major.
And then I think that prior to that, all the activities that had been happening within December had been like 1-day activities or 1-day events.
1-day event.
So
Yeah.
Afrochella used to be just 1-day events. Then you have the different parties, the Kwaba parties.
Yeah.
What's the other one on the hills?
Little Acre.
Little Havana.
Little Havana.
Little Havana. And then, so this has been the activities and one of activities that has been happening in markets in December. And then the nightclubs also get they get into their peak season.
Yes.
But
They ride off the back of
that December 3-day activity in 2019 with AfroNation in terms of budget, scale, the sheer number of top talents that had to perform on it was major. It was big. And for most of us, it was like a big eye-opening experience in terms of how festivals needs to be programmed and needs to be put together. And most of us, built the experience and then built on it. But that was a very major one. That made like a very huge statement. And I think it kind of connected to our already evolving December in Ghana positioning, and also our already evolving positioning as a holiday maker spot every December. So it gave it some major.
So aside positioning, what other advantages do you think?
Amplification. It gave us. Aside from we already have gained that positioning as a holiday maker spot every December. 2019, and particularly with the entry of AfroNation, gave it a very major amplification. And got the comment. Don't forget that prior to AfroNation, what's the lady's name? What's the lady's name? Nicki Minaj. Not Nicki Minaj. Cardi B had come in. The earlier part of that particular month, and there was a whole these conversations in and around.
So there was a lot of application for Ghana as a whole.
Yes, so there was that conversation was there, and when AfroNation came in, almost all your top talents that were getting African talents who are getting attention in the world were all performing here. We had people moving in from Nigeria, South Africa, coming in there, as a result of that. And so that major amplification in 2019 was good. It had a positive effect. We're all hoping to um, um, take it up and extend it further in 2020, and then Corona hit all of us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That kind of slowed it down a bit. But we began to pick up in 2021. You know,
I think we
2022
picked up
similar.
really good. You understand? Like for someone,
We picked up, but with a lot of challenges
Yeah.
that now made festivals or festival productions very expensive and an extreme sport. Yeah, I mean, because I mean, we picked up, and I'm sure if not for Corona, the conversation would have been a
quite
bit
different, right?
But with Corona, by the time the markets opened up again, there were new approaches, different things that kind of impacted commercial partnerships. You know, as it stands now, the sponsorship market is almost non-existent.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's almost non-existent. And so if you're having to put together any activity in December or a festival in December, you would have to raise funding. I mean,
Was that a function of Corona, or was it a function? Do you blame that on you? I know how current governments.
It's a number of factors.
Yeah.
The Corona worsened it, but it was things that was evolving. One, there were a number of things that had made sponsorship worse. Regulation, for instance, I mean, kind of made commercial partnerships with events of this nature even more difficult. I mean, the FDA has been coming hard on the brands in terms of in terms of how they associate. You know, that tight regulation sometimes makes it difficult because for the brand, they recognize that they cannot get the full value of what they need to put in to the festival or the event.
Yeah, because of the barriers
because then now you cannot advertise with the talent that are performing, and that's some of the value they're looking for. Even if you have to do an outdoor campaign, you need to have all your talent on it, and then
have
somewhere somehow.
And these are the ones who have the money to actually pump into.
Yes, so the regulation was tight on them. Again, it limited the full extent to which they can go. And then left them with only the experiential value they could have at the event itself.
Makes sense.
You know, and so then in that instance, they had to reduce.
Is that different in other countries?
It's totally different.
Can you give us a typical example of a country?
I was in Nigeria a few days ago. There's a major runabout with Davido and Mattel in the middle of the runabout.
As in like the huge runabout.
Davido and Mattel's campaign is like all over Nigeria. Davido and Mattel's activation with music is like a major activity, and not only Mattel, was the General Beaters. There's a whole lot of them, you know. So the associations is right, and so for me, I think that, and I've always made the point that I think that I agree with all of us, and as a country, we need to protect vulnerable groups, especially children. But in terms of executing it, that regulation needs to be executed with recourse to the industries it's coming to affect. It's taking a major revenue line from industry, and it's created a hole. Now there's no way to fill that particular hole.
So the mapping just needs to be done better.
So it's become it's created a hole that investors' funds must fill. But that sponsorship line was a key revenue line, as well as also provide a certain sense of capital to put together some of these events. Now, that revenue line capital is gone.
It's gone.
Which means that you now need to raise funding from different sources to put it into it.
Yeah.
Now,
and those ones may not necessarily align.
Ticket alone may not be able to offset the cost of the festival.
Makes sense.
Then there's another part about it. Ghanaians or the Ghanaians in the diaspora that are coming back in December have become used to a certain major experience now in terms of festivals and festival programming. I mean, they are traveling. They've seen festivals, and particularly they saw AfroNation.
Yeah.
Afrochella had picked up. Wonderland came in 2021. In 2022, we all saw Global Citizen.
Yeah, you also the experience. There was that level of execution and experiential that
they've developed a taste for high-valued entertainment.
Yeah. I think it's globally. I think as a people, it's not even from the diaspora. As a people, as we are evolving, our tastes,
taste buds.
Yeah, it's just you need. I think personally, I read something that. They are moving away from the fact that you just open a bar and then you just ask people to come and drink. They would not necessarily. Why would I spend 1,000, 2,000 cities to come and buy a Johnny Walker Black Label? You need to tie an experience to that
There
particular
has to be
bottle.
an experience.
Yeah.
There has to be an experience. So once they've developed that taste for high-valued entertainment properties, it means that you can't drop the ball.
Yeah.
If you must do it, you need to do it for it to come off in the ways any festival across the world should look and feel like.
Yeah.
Which is also very expensive.
Yes, so production cost, right?
Production cost is up.
I think you mentioned. I
think
think I had a discussion with you one time, and then you mentioned a story about production cost and the cost of importing.
The money that
if
we
you could
put
share
into,
that.
the funds that we put into Nigeria every year collectively, all of us, it was about $3.5 million. $3.5 million. I mean, that's a lot because again, it's a process. The business of activating talents and their brands, the awareness of it is now major in Nigeria.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still coming here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got few talents, but we've not been very good at the business aspect of it. I mean, everybody's just trying here and then. That explains why sometimes we are not able to activate very well to have a certain globally resonating effect. The Nigerians have been able to do that, and so
why is that?
I mean, they quickly learned and they quickly adapted. Globalization, for instance, whipped everybody into line, and a few of the deals that kind of worked gave them a proper case examples on how they can do it. So David with Waze and Berners signing to global organizations and how they run their affairs, particularly when they began to get like major hits and all the networks of these global organizations were brought to bear in terms of, on their operations. Then everybody began to learn and adapt and understand. I was just telling Mr. that when you enter into that space in Nigeria today, some of their top producers, even before a conversation, you need to put down $5,000.
You need to put it down.
You need to put it down
because they understand that's how it's even done in outside.
That's how there's a line of backing vocalists that thrive just on being backing.
Would you attribute that to the lack of transparency within? Because I feel like maybe yes.
No.
Maybe yes, they maybe. I've personally, right?
I think there's not a bigger amount of money to go around in terms of investing. For the two talents that have been able to grow bigger and made some money to put in, they've been reluctant because a lot of them come from an orientation where it wasn't the case.
Exactly.
So it's difficult for them to have to put together $100,000 budget for.
But are they structured properly? Are the festivals structured properly for that kind of investment? Because
of course.
I'll take it from my point of view. I've sat in, or I've been in a couple of discussions and meetings where, in pitching to maybe like festival owners outside of the country, even the approach of some of these talents to these kinds of organizations is just wrong. You understand? So is it that we lack the business knowledge to be able to structure ourselves for that kind of investment? Or is it that the money, they are just not throwing the money there? You understand?
Well, assessing investments has always been very difficult. I think that the festivals have been growing and have been putting in the necessary structures and teamwork and having the necessary, the individuals with the necessary know-how in terms of how to turn it around. I mean, and that has been changed. That has been there.
Yeah.
The bottom line there is that it's become very expensive, and so if you are not able to assess the full scale of the investment capital that you need, then if it must happen, then you have to bootstrap, and in bootstrapping, there's always a shortfall somewhere when you're bootstrapping. There's always a shortfall somewhere where, I mean, it's difficult. And Ghanaians are also resilient people and will not wait for them to get the full scale.
They will move anyways.
They will move anyways. And sometimes when you're moving anyways, then there are little issues here but there's always a point of cleaning up. There's always a point of cleaning up. A number of the brands that have started or that have grown in market were brands that were bootstrapped gradually bit by bit in the industry. And today, I mean, as we learned, adapted, and cleaned up, a number of the brands are good. I mean, Three Music started from the boot of my mom's car.
I was just about to mention that. I was like, with all these challenges and the fact that we have limited investment and stuff like that, how did you navigate like Three Music Awards to the point where, I mean, it's been running for quite just a few number of years, but
it's been very difficult.
It's your execution level.
Today, a lot of people do not remember. There were years that talents would call you out on Twitter for owing them. Yeah, year 1, year 2. I mean, it's well documented. Medical had to tweet, come and give me my money. We don't have that problem today. The brand doesn't have that problem today.
Yeah.
But you can imagine that. And I tell some of the guys that this is the vision that I was selling to you guys then. What it's become today. Everybody's happy. Everybody's excited. Everybody's looking to partner. Everybody's willing to get into the space and everything. And I told them that you can imagine if I was just discouraged by some of these activities then, the brand wouldn't be existing today to provide value to industry. We had to stay grounded. We have to be thick-skinned about it. But you can understand, there was a vision we had, and there was a hope. I mean, in terms of actualizing that particular vision, and so we began to work towards it. And bit by bit, there was always the point where we had to clean up. We had to go for investment to expand. And it wasn't an easy process. It took us 1 year, 4 to 5 years to be able to 5 years of running to be able to assess the investment to expand. And then it grew into a television channel and stuff like that. And that's so doing right now. The point is that if I'm bringing that experience to bear on all these other activities, it's the same thing. It's individuals coming together, pool resources, and say, let's go and do a little Havana. And then gradually it grows into something else. I
think it's a running theme for all the big major festivals and stuff like that.
The difference between all of that and AfroNation is AfroNation came with that heavyweight budget.
They came with
there was a number of almost all the other companies, Event Horizon and individuals that look. There are people that work on AfroNation year 1 that we worked in. Amongst them, when you put together, they've got about 80 festivals a year. Ooh. 80 festivals. They just fly into the country. They just execute and then they move into. Some of them were done with AfroNation, moved into another country.
So it wasn't necessarily just AfroNation just executing. They have like a bunch of partners that just come and help them with execution.
Live Nation is involved at a point from the funding point, and they had the budgets not to make the mistakes. So I mean, it was an eye-opening. How
was that for you? Like going through thick skin to actually. And then you all of a sudden just see money, and then you just exit.
That production was sweet, and I remember telling everybody, after this production, I don't go work on any production waste money no days. So but I mean, it was seamless, and it opened your minds to a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, and you could see that a lot of things are not even bordered on money.
That explains sometimes why. The difficulty the way we're able to do and get things around. So I was making the point on why we are having to spend money on Nigerian talent is because they've managed to create a globally resonating effect on the diaspora market that keeps coming here. In December, the government estimates that there are about 250,000 people coming into the country.
250,000 people
in December alone. Let's assume the government estimates may not be right. Let's even bring it down. Conservative numbers, 150,000 people coming into the country in December. That's not a small number.
Yeah.
And these are people that are coming in, have the money to spend, and they dictate the pace of what happens in December.
Yeah.
You realize that all year round now, between January to November, the reason you don't see a lot of major scale activities is because it's a major risk.
Yeah.
There's socio-economic impacts. Everybody is holding on to their cash. So
there's
people
the fear,
aren't buying tickets like the way they would. Young men and women would choose to be at home, get their own little drink or anything like that, play their music and have fun. And they're also replacing, aside from sitting together, they're also replacing it with weddings
and stuff like that. Things that which are more. Do you think it's been? Do you think the diaspora have gentrified the Accra festival, like the December period? Do you think it's been gentrified and they cannot really afford the events and festivals?
The thing about December is that it's a festive period, and so everybody's primed and prepared for it. So it's almost as if December they are for jam. After Chill. Even if I day out all year round, December
Yeah.
for jam.
Yeah.
And also again, the diaspora coming in and dictating where everybody goes. It's more or less like Charlie, you two for day this for chill. Our friends, our mates, our brothers that are brought up are back home.
Yeah.
Either those that are working, those that are students are back home. Charlie, we need to jam with them. It's been a while we saw each other. We for chill. For jam, we could go for make those, for assess those experiences. So they go to the extra mile to do that, but it's not the same during other parts of the year.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know, I mean, during from January to November, everybody's hard up on cash because there's a major socioeconomic hits in market, and things have been evolving. You recognize that for me in my era, or we're coming up, when you go to, when you're going to the nightclubs, you had to pay an access fee to enter the nightclubs. And then now when you're going to buy your drink again. Even with your money save, you could be bounced by FM. But today, you want to do that to the Gen Zs, you go take your club.
Yeah.
It's not like now you open up, they dress nice, they come in, they don't pay. You make your 120% on your drinks.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
buy the drinks.
Yeah.
But they like, once the experience is good, that's fine. But gone are the days where people could be lining up at Twist and there's everybody, and even at 2 a.m., 1 a.m.
It's changed. The dynamics has changed.
2 a.m., 1 a.m., you want to bounce the guy, you in Yamapa. Let's go move to Lumba or move to another place. Or they'll call because they recognize that once they get a few of them together and they tweet that we're going to go here,
It's
a
as
lot of
simple
people
as
can
that.
move away from your bar to be with them,
Yeah.
or from the club to be with them, for basically nothing, for just the experience.
Yeah.
Because what? I mean, you can't bounce me and charge me this amount of money. No, they'll move.
Yeah.
And that's why you realize that a number of the clubs that were still caught into charging access fee
I've
have
naturally,
fizzled out.
yeah.
Because the active patrons of entertainment experiences, which includes nightclubs, shows, and everything, at every point in time will be between the 16 to 24 demographics, and then there's a passive which is for 25 to about 34 demographics, right, or to about 44 demographics, and at every point in time they keep phasing in, phasing out. There'll be a new 16 to 24 demographics.
Yeah.
There'll be a new 24 to
And they have their unique
and everybody
experience.
has got their own unique whatever.
Yeah.
And so all that changes was further deepened by Corona, because then Corona made everybody sit at home, find alternatives, and then realign, because then now we're not going out like we used to go out. We're not doing this like we used to go out. The brands were not spending like they used to go out. So everybody began to reflect on the things and began to find ways and means. And once they coexisted and survived it, it's almost as if, I mean, they get into a fatigue mode.
And then they become
because if you realize, even after Corona, getting the clubs bouncing and working again was a bit slow.
Yeah.
I mean, now we're all now just coming out, because I mean, we've used to staying at home, a few people coming together, we playing games. So you realize that right after Corona, by 2021, early 2021, there are a number of private house parties that have gone up. I mean, a few friends come together. There's game nights. They have their drinks at home. They
were very more communal in terms of the things.
They become more communal.
Yeah.
You know, and they enjoyed it. I mean, they had fun.
Is it into my
and
next?
And people had also developed the whole habit of travel.
True.
Going out for a few experiences.
And spending their money outside of the country.
So they go and camp out in a breed. They go to the Shire Resource. They go to Apkosombo. They are there. They play music. They camp out. These were like unique experiences that they didn't used to spend their time on. But now, after 2021, whilst the clubs were now coming out, and that fear was still on their mind of being in crowded spaces where they could, pick up the virus. Then they began to choose a group of 4, 5, sometimes 10 to 15. They know each other. They rent their buses. They move to Akosombo.
And then you go outside and they get experience. They want the experiences.
They began to love those experiences, because then now the experiences was more. You know, they were experiencing nature. They were visiting what's it called, waterfall sites. They were being in places where they didn't have to care about anything. Play their music, have fun, come back to Accra. They felt rejuvenated, and it began to work on them, you know. And so these things kind of, it changed. It changed. But already, like I said, there were other things like regulation that was impacting commercial partnerships on the event.
Yeah.
So as
yeah.
it stands now, it's become an extreme sport to have to, and the basic reason why AfroNation didn't come back is as a result of that.
Is it okay? Well, segue into my next question to ask whether it was is sustainable. 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, there's a lot of debate on the fact that it's not yet confirmed though, but AfroNation isn't coming.
AfroNation isn't coming back. It's in Nigeria.
Okay, so it's not coming back again to Ghana.
Well, maybe one day, if situations changed, AfroNation may consider coming back.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what was the reason for the move? And that's one. And
our
secondly, with the not just AfroNation, right? Black Star Line Festival moving to Jamaica, AfroNation moving to Nigeria.
Oh, Black Star Line isn't coming back?
It's moving to Jamaica.
Oh, they activated in December or January?
Yeah, January. So do you
Our holiday makers positioning is
yes,
shaking now
that's what I
also.
wanted to ask you. Is first of all, what was the reason for
bottom line-
AfroNation moving?
Bottom line is simple. The size of our market is small.
Yeah.
Our market alone, from within the market, can't fund the sort of experiences that needs to be here. It cannot.
Is it a numbers thing or is it just
It's not numbers as in the people based in the country. Don't forget there are people coming into the country.
yeah.
But to fund the experiences, to put the investment that goes into it, you can't find the money from here. You can't find the money from here. I'm not kidding. You have to sometimes look outside. And I mean, it's like loops, roads, and when you're affecting it from outside,
Yeah.
they determine, I mean, where you should be at any point in time. We need to put our money where our mouth is.
Yeah.
If as a state or collectively as a country, we're still interested in keeping our positioning as a major holiday maker spot in December,
Yeah.
then there has to be a certain level of investment from the state.
Okay. There has to be. It
There
cannot
has
be
to
done.
Other than that, if you leave it for the free market forces, your
What,
markets,
what things should you think the government should be considering
they
in that?
probably would have to begin funding these initiatives or creating a relief of sorts.
Like tax
the government
rebates and stuff like
Tax
that?
rebates could be one, but they could float a fund, for instance.
Mm.
I mean, through the banks, where some of these festivals that are run properly and organized well could access funding to be able to put it together.
Mm.
And such funds, will always come with a certain cushions. Also because beyond these organizations staying sustainable, they have a silver lining of purpose as creating the much needed activities or creating the content that assets our holiday maker status.
Lovely.
But if you leave the free market forces, because I mean, here's a case. AfroNation in 2020, when they came back, didn't make their investment back. They didn't get it from sponsorship. Your sponsorship market is almost non-existent. I don't think there's a brand here that could give you almost about $150,000, $200,000 partnership in December. No, it's not there.
There's no brand.
There's no where you go get them that from? Don't forget, $100,000 is 1.1 million cities. $200,000 is 4.1 million cities. It's a big conversation. And so they also would ask themselves, how would they make the money back? Markets have changed. If they are looking to markets, like I said, from the COVID period when everybody was locked home,
Yeah.
they found alternative means of reaching the audience, and still getting them to use their products and services, and so there's a whole new alignment regarding they will see too many possibilities if they are holding 2 million seats today.
Yeah.
Unless and then lately we are not having like very, very bold marketing directors that would want to make a huge statement for their brands.
Yeah.
Also because, I mean, they'll tell you, it's not just about making the huge statement. It's also about the ROI, what it connects to, and what's the
Because at the end of the day, it has to be. It has
to be valuable. It has to have an effect on the business, one way or the other. So now, coupled with that, the ones that could have put a lot more money would have been the brands that have been looking for share of truths. beverages.
And
But
then
here's the
and then
case: they are
there's
also limited by regulation.
what would you in
So,
your
in that instance,
yeah
they can't go in the full,
the
because even if they
full
go, because maybe the brands could have gone heavy and done the partnership, because they know, okay, if we're going to be exclusive partners, then on the basis of the fact that we have all the share of truth at the particular festival, we're going to make money.
yeah
But here's the
yeah
case: they cannot go that full extent because of regulation. So
it's also a barrier.
that sponsorship, that would also serve as investment capital for these experiences, is non-existent. It's gone. I mean, some of your other lifestyle brands, the betting companies, heavily regulated as well. I mean, our banks are usually manned by very, very traditional bankers.
Yeah,
who,
yeah.
whose orientation in terms of customer acquisition is different. They like the hard routes to getting a customer than, okay, you know what, let me put my money into this particular festival. And then what we can do is that we can integrate our API to their website. People can buy tickets, and all the money will come and sit in our banks. And then when we go to the festival itself, we can run a cashless system where we give everybody maybe a debit card. You go to the festival itself, you use this particular card, and then you can keep the cards to even the next festival.
Guys, watch
This
out
is
for
an
the Black
innovation.
Volta card, though. It's coming.
Yes, this is an innovation.
Yeah.
Right? This is an innovation. However, I mean, when you go, you're sitting talking to maybe the young guy in the cards unit or the bank gets it. It's like, I get it. It means that by the time I'm done with the festival, if you're getting a total footfall of about 8,000 to 11,000 people, a percentage of it, even if you are getting 10,000, I'm having 6,000 people sign up to my cards. That's like a huge number.
That's a huge.
And if I can keep them active one way or the other, that's like, he will get it. Other people will get it. But I climb up to deputy managing director in charge of this. It's like, what are you talking about?
What are you? I don't even understand why.
You flag it. You say,
now that
how much do we have to spend for this partnership? Then they mention maybe $300,000. Hey, do you know what $300,000 will do for us? No way. Then maybe Visa will probably come.
Now that you're heading into the politics, right? Yeah. I know you've mentioned things around. Because we're talking about Accra festivals and stuff like that, I know you've mentioned something around tax rebates. If you were to be on a panel for the creative industry, and honing on to the year of return and this festival thing, and then us keeping it as something, what would be your top 3 things that you would want us to execute as a country to really keep this thing in-house?
So I like very realistic targets, and I like the things that are already in motion that can always be leveraged. You know, so the Exim Bank in Ghana is supposed to fund exportable products, as it were, or help traders in that particular unit to be able to access the necessary funding to trade.
Yeah.
Either they are importing in, or they are having to add value and then export out of the country. You know, now, creative content or tourism have assumed exportable status. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
You know, in the sense that it's helping you gain the much needed forex exchange. There are, like I said, 250,000 from government estimate people coming into your country. All of them with the necessary dollars coming to spend in your country. Your GRA from their system will see that their taxes or statutory payment have gone up in that particular December because hotels have been oversubscribed. I mean,
there's a lot of revenue coming into it.
Food is seeing a certain uptick in the revenues.
In indexes, yeah.
You know, even the services, the banks, the charges, because there's a reason Visa is activating here during that particular period. So we would see that there's some activity going on which is profitable for the country.
Yeah.
Beyond that, it also gives us a certain reputation and good image.
A reputational value
that could have a spillover effect all year round.
Yeah.
On
all other businesses, on all other industries.
So at this point, common thinking will show you there's an existing Exim Bank which is supposed to fund some of these things to achieve these things, to achieve some of these objectives. So why don't we have a conversation and begin to see how the Exim Bank can be brought to bear in terms of how they fund some of these things. Again, the creative industry bill has been passed from 2020. As it stands now, we don't know if it's been executed or not.
I'm not even sure people are even aware that it's been passed.
It's been passed. The act has been passed. The creative industry bill, the act, is supposed to also have an ally that would operationalize the Creative Arts Fund.
Yeah.
Perhaps the Creative Arts Fund could have provided that much needed fund that we need to be able to fund. And the sources of the fund, is described within the Act.
Yeah.
You know, and so these are things that are already in motion. These are things that would take a certain level of strong will from a government to say, we're looking to do this. But I don't know whether they seem to be in a certain world.
They're in a different world altogether.
Yeah.
They're not.
So everything has been left to the Ghana Tourism Authority to handle. But I've said to Akwesi, I've said to the guys that, listen, you guys can't be the be and all for the sector.
Yeah.
Of course, you have a 1% tourism development levy that's coming to you, right? But you know that you may not get the full value, the full extent of your allocations every year.
Yeah.
And you could see from what they are getting, they're trying to go the extra mile to help out and partner some of these events and activities and all of that. But it's not enough because the Ghana Tourism Authority alone, as an agency, can't fund all the activities. They are not in a place. They are not in a position to fund it. These are very, very expensive activities that is needed to make our tourism thrive. You know, they can't fund it. And then alternatively, regulations needs to be looked at very well in the ways that it doesn't impact industry.
Yeah.
There's a new bet on tax tax on betting, for instance, betting earnings. For instance, one would have thought that, okay, well, it's not what everybody expected. Okay, you're having to do that. Can somebody think about, okay, once regulation is making it difficult for betting marketing budget to go to industries such as the marketing and its allied industries related to entertainment and creative arts, somebody should think and say, well, a percentage of it should be a base for, let's say, the creative arts fund that can now begin to fund some of these things. These are things that are already existing that needs to be realigned, you know, but has to be the thinking must be there. And these are the things
the thought processes has to be done. It's not just advocating for stuff to be done in a halo.
I'm a realist. That's why I don't want to. I have always not sought to create like build castles in there. These are things that are already there. I mean, so that
don't reinvent the wheel.
We got to begin to, because I remember in 2021 we were working with Mr. Selesi Ron Mahama, for instance, on the manifesto part. There was one thing he kept on saying to us. Listen, if you look at the way the economy is structured and what has been happening in the last few years, particularly under the current government, we shouldn't have a certain expectation on they leaving money for us to be able to execute it. So part of what he sought for us to do as a party or young people working in building the manifesto was for every idea, because we saw the experience of free HHS, for instance, and how fantastic idea, it came in, boom, but it wasn't clearly taught in terms of where you're going to get the funding. And so after a year or two, then it began to struggle, and then our young people are spending 4 months out of 12 months in school and spending the rest at home. You know, so we've had to think about it. And then he was directed and said
a lot of business is sustainability.
For every idea
it should be sustainable.
That we come out with, it shouldn't be business as usual. It shouldn't be like it was done before, where we say we are going to do this without careful thought about it. He directed us to think through it very well and make sure that for every idea we are going to find where we can assess the source of funding for it and how sustainable we can keep it. You know, so then once we began to think, it was okay, well, this already exists. Can we realign the purpose of this to also impact this? This has been passed. It needs an ally to create a fund. These are the sources of the fund. This is what the fund will be able to do. And this is how even the organization itself could stay sustainable. You know, so these are some of the things that have shaped the way we're thinking about it. So for me, this is how we've wanted them to think about it. You know, because, I mean, tourism is big industry. I mean, and tourism is, the impact of tourism is asserted by arts and culture. I mean, tourism is driven heavily from a point of culture. You know that. And then our biggest tourist month, or tourism month, which is December, I mean, it's driven heavily from the point of culture. You know, and creative content. So if we really want this to go, and I've said it again and again, that if we do not begin to think about it very well, and from a state point, understand how we're going to go about it, we'll begin to lose our positioning as a holiday makers.
We are losing. Aren't we losing it to Rwanda? That begs to my next question.
Yeah,
are we losing it to East Africa? Do you think East Africa
you were in Uganda, you were in Rwanda, you saw how and in the last few years, every December, guys from Rwanda, South Africa, Nigeria, all these countries have been coming in to see how what has been working for us.
Yeah.
Look, our biggest core card, which has worked for us, which most of them do not have, is peace and stability.
Peace and stability, yeah.
I mean, so now, if you talk to a lot of the diasporans, they'll tell you to go to Nigeria during December, it's a decision.
It's a decision to go.
To go, but to come to Ghana is like a vibe. Yo, Charlie.
I like that.
December.
I like the way you put that out.
It's easier to think about it like that. You know, and that's one of the
There's
things.
not a lot of thinking points when you're going to Ghana,
no,
as opposed to
Ghana,
I'll just buy a ticket and I'll just go.
In Ghana, when I land into the streets, hospitality people, they show me the next hotel.
True.
And I can walk in Ghana, and then they tell you, some of them will tell you that I mean, in the nights we could just go to our parties and chill.
And then come out at 4 a.m. and then they just come back.
Even the police people are, except in some instances where the police people are, are rude to people or they mishandle.
But it's a vibe. It's cool.
Yeah,
it's cheap.
but they know that, it's a vibe. But there are a lot of people that if they have to go to Nigeria, it's a decision because they're thinking, SARS. They're thinking there's a whole, they're thinking, what if I am kidnapped?
They're thinking about safety. They're thinking about,
It's a whole lot of things. But Nigeria is out to change all of that.
Yeah.
They have a new 8-point plan to making Nigeria.
Even, and I like the way you put that. Even the way you put it. If you've realized in the past 24 months that the description of Nigeria has typically changed.
Yeah.
First thing you mention in Nigeria is it's unsafe. It's not safe to be in. There's a lot of corruption.
Because
but have you realized now it's more of Afrobeats,
because
vibe,
it's
music.
been building up for some time, right?
Yeah.
But even visits to the country has become very difficult, right?
Yeah.
But a new president with a new minister that is appointed for
creative arts. What's his name? Bola? Is it?
No, there's Anatu Musawa or something. Yeah. You know, so they are looking to change that with a new 8-point policy that will make Lagos the creative capital of the world.
Lovely.
You know, and so the AfroNations of the world that have gone in could be a test. If it works out, there are no incidences. It will be just that building block that they need to be able to take it to the world.
To the world, yeah.
You know, and then begin to take that from us. Don't forget, apart from the top 3 countries where we receive a lot of guests or visitors from for December, Nigeria is inclusive.
It's
of the
also
top 3.
one of them.
UK, US, UK, Nigeria. You know, you see a lot of traffic from there in December as well.
Yeah.
Now, if they are choosing to get their people to stay home and then attracting your people there because, it's safe to go there, you're going to lose that critical foreign exchange.
Yeah.
So we need to think ahead and begin to plan and get ready for some of these things.
Makes sense.
And I understand the state itself cannot fully carry these things on their back. Of course, the tourism, creative arts industry are privately driven across the world. But there could be some vehicles that have been created, like the Creative Art Fund.
There can be private investors and stuff like that.
Yes, we are aligning certain functions of the Exim Bank, for instance, to be able to fund it, or rolling out or flowing a fund through the banks that can be accessed by these organizations. You know, and so these are but some of the things that can be done to be able to assert the gains. Plus the tax relief. There was a particular content I watched where 2 founders in the space were bemoaning the tax regime that makes it difficult for them to thrive in the nightlife space. You know, and those are the real challenges that exist in the space. But as it were, for most parts of our political decision making or political development, people from our sector have never had to take an interest in governance, or joining the ranks of the key decision makers to be explaining and connecting the dot to them.
Makes sense.
And so it's almost as if there's nobody at the table that
there's really no one at the table that you can really look to and
that
speak.
Direct practical thing to bear, the real insights. You know, it's the same old things. and there's no that sense of urgency isn't there.
Isn't there?
But if somebody is there that actually continues to sound the alarm to say, listen, currently in Africa in December, you assume a holiday maker status, but you are losing it because Nigeria is looking to take it. East Africa, Rwanda, Uganda is looking to take it. Jamaica now has joined the fray.
Yeah.
And already, Jamaica has always been a tourist destination. It's always had a very exciting or interesting top of mind in the tourism space. And so if they consolidate and all these guys consolidate, we wake up 1 December and it'll be only us just chilling and partying.
And then they're doing our own things and then stuff like that. It doesn't really bring any
without
benefit.
the necessary, returns that we expect.
Makes sense.
So really that's the...
Lovely stuff. I hope you guys are really enjoying the conversation because I am. I could go on and on and on. But what we're going to do is we're going to segue into the last part of the discussion, which is the EDM festival. I wanted to, if you've heard about the EDM festival, are you actively involved in that?
No, I mean, but I think it's brilliant, and I think it's a bold move. I know when it started, I was like, Mensa October. Let's see. I mean, the market is dry, but maybe sometimes we need bold entrepreneurs. We need people that would want to push through against all odds. And if it succeeds, perhaps it will just be that signal that everybody also is looking to, is looking for, to also, jump in.
Yeah.
But you realize that month on month, January to November has been a bit dry.
It's been quite dry.
Provided that point of activating our music and activating. Now there are less live spots to activate. When there's a new hit, live has always been the point where you activate it. And
it's really true that you're saying, even with now musicians in activating their music,
the options are limited.
Are very, very
you do radio,
limited.
TV, you do digital with a TikTok campaign, you run
some dance campaigns. You do.
It's that, but you also need the live element to be able to create that major resonating effect for the talent and for the music
and for the brand and stuff like that.
A lot of people do not know this, and you may have realized it. You realize when you go to Amapiano, for instance, was activated heavily on the back of live. So you see it on TikTok, but then you go into the club and it's been played, the guys are there, the whole experience vibe about it. You leave the club in the night, at dawn on Sunday or Saturday. In the morning, you find yourself craving for the music.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
It's playing in your
Exactly.
mind. And you probably would have Shazammed it. Today, digital tools have made it easier where, what song is this? Let me Shazam it. It's there. You just, what song is this? Let me Shazam it. Sunday morning, when you want to relive the experience, exciting experience that you had, you want to play the songs again. So here's where live has an impact on even the streams of the music.
Yeah.
Now there are limited live spots. And so I think that EDM taking the bull by the horn in October, it's extreme sport, like I said to you, very expensive. I can see it. I don't know how many brands they have on it yet that are actually doling out money. And then there's all these other costs. I don't know what the conversations they're having with talent, but I know talent costs can be very expensive.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's see. Perhaps there's a signal that we're all looking for. Mensa and the guys at EDM could just be showing us the way.
Lovely.
And then that could probably signal a whole new
conversation line altogether.
Conversation in terms of making other successful.
Lovely stuff, guys. Man, I'm blown away. Personally, I told you that Sadiq has been one person. I said if I get him in a room, I may not finish with him because the conversations will go. I'm often, how Black Butter is really passionate about entertainment, pop culture, and nightlife. So some of these discussions can go on and on and on. But we would have to end the conversation. What would be your final words on the podcast? Is there anything that you'd want?
Yeah, for me, I'd like to commend all the young individuals that have been very active so far in the nightlife and creative industry or the entertainment industry. I can understand that things have become a bit difficult, but we keep working hard. We keep pushing the envelope. We keep working against hope, hoping that one day things may work out. I'd like to commend everybody. You guys have been putting in the work. We're praying and hoping that the key decision makers also notice the extent or the work that you put in, and will do the needful in terms of what they need to do to enable you or to enable the space. But I'm really hopeful that the young people of the country won't disappoint us and will continue pushing the envelope or will continue creating value for industry and society. So shout outs to all of you working your asses off, either as co-owners or owners of nightclubs or spaces or agencies or festivals or events, doing the best that you can to continue to make Ghana the holiday maker spot every December. Shout outs to all of you.
Lovely, lovely. If you didn't get anything from that, he said the young people in Ghana, we hope that you do not disappoint us. It's been a lovely session talking about the Accra Festival scene with our very own superstar, Sadiq Abdullahi. Shout out to Johnny Walker Black Label for sponsoring this particular podcast. And you guys, please buy your tickets and show up to the EDM Festival on the 28th of October 2023. If you don't hear from us again, tune into our next particular episode in the Black Volta Nightlife podcast. Follow us, Black Volta, on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, and then Twitter. And until next time, tune in. Peace out.